Hello and welcome to PhDear Diary. My name is Andy Salkeld and this is my video blog whilst I am undertaking a PhD in psychology at Leeds Beckett University. This week, I believe we're somewhere like 15, 16 weeks into it. Time is beginning to lose meaning in this thing. It's a very long process, something that I'm not really too well practiced with. And something I'm certainly not comfortable with. But I'm approaching a very important deadline and have done a lot of kind of important marketing to some extent this week. So next Monday is what is referred to as the confirmation of registration. So this is where you basically say, this is what I'm doing for the next 3 or 4 years of my life. It's the aim of the research, it's a bit of background to it, what the proposed studies are going to be like, and what the overall aim is. And if you've been watching, you'll know that what I'm looking to understand is how does organisational finance shape individual psychological outcomes. And it sounds complicated, but really it's just about how does the way the finance team, the finance function, and finance in general change the way we experience life, the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act. And there's lots of examples I've given of this in the past. One of the easy ones is when someone decides to leave your firm or your team, do you decide to recruit immediately? Do you decide not to recruit? Because if those motivations behind, say, not recruiting are to do with money, financing, potentially time, that's a financial decision that's being made, or at least a financially motivated decision being made. But when that happens, the workload of that person often gets spread amongst the remaining team members, which increases the pressure they feel, which increases risk of things like burnout or stress, because there is now more demanded of them within the same time. And there's lots of things like this, like financing in general, so taking on bank debt, taking on private equity investment, or listing a company on a stock market, which are all financially related decisions, can connect through to the culture within a business, the climate for various things within a business, the structure, so that's how formalized, centralized, etc. a business is, and how the leadership operate within it. And again, finance is slowly changing the way people experience, act, behave, and think within the organization. And there's more complicated words to describe this process, but broadly speaking, I'm trying to make it as accessible as possible through this means to be able to share with you what I'm going to be looking at. And the confirmation of registration is where this is going to happen. I'm telling the university this is what I'm planning to do, this is how I plan to do it, and we get to have a bit of a debate on whether we think it's reasonable, achievable, etc., etc. Do I have all the resources I need to be able to do it? Do they have the ability to support me in doing it? And all that sort of stuff. And this week, I decided to finally share what I'm doing with the wider kind of community that I'm a part of. Because by background, I'm a financier, I'm an accountant. So I know a lot of other accountants that are still working in accounting. And this time is the first time I shared what I am doing now with all of them. And it was the response was pretty incredible. It's a very strange thing because I also combine a lot of this with things like it's Mental Health Awareness Week, and the theme is about loneliness. Doing a PhD is lonely, etc., etc. And it's also the sort of thing where when you start it's also the 2-year anniversary of my book, Life is a Four-Letter Word, that is 2 years old on Sunday, 2 days from now. And I'm like, as much as I'm a financier, I'm also a marketeer. So I understand how to combine these things to kind of greater effect. It's why I launched my book in Mental Health Awareness Week 2 years ago. And it's why I wanted to do it now, because it just lined up perfectly with when the confirmation of registration was happening. And so I posted about this on LinkedIn. There is now a blog post on my website that kind of talks through all this in detail. There is a web page dedicated to it that I will update as the process continues. And I even did a bit of a video about what organisational finance means, why it's important, and why I'm researching it. And I posted these on LinkedIn, I shared them around Twitter, and they got shared, reshared, etc. And people started reaching out to me. People who, thanks to COVID-19 and the pandemic that has been going on in the world, I have not spoken to in many years. And it was really nice to have people reach out and go, it's been too long, and I am sorry for whatever part I played in this. And I too am sorry for whatever part I played in not communicating with them. But having them reach out and say, I like what you're doing, I want to support you, really meant something. And this is something a lot of people don't do that often. So in the workplace, you see someone do something or achieve something, and you say, well done, and then you kind of leave it there. And you think, oh, it'd be really good to help them. I know people that could be involved with this. And this is kind of just a problem with the world at present. Everyone is experiencing a level of burnout. So no matter how much we want to support one another, no matter how much we want to help each other thrive, succeed, and grow, the amount of effort it takes to enable that often limits us from doing it. So whenever anyone reaches out to me, whenever anyone says, this is incredible, this is great, or even just, well done, this sounds really interesting, I will always thank them as much as I can, because it doesn't happen enough in our society in general. Over the past couple of months, I've had friends say nice things to me, and I've always taken the time, even if it hasn't been an immediate response, I've always thought about it and gone back and said, you know what, thank you for saying what you said, because it meant something. And this is something I think we can all kind of take away just in general, is it may take a minute, 2 minutes. You may feel embarrassed for reaching out or anything like that. But ultimately, those small words of, you've done well, I really like what you're doing, I'm interested in it, can I help you? Those make a difference to people, particularly the smaller businesses or the independent businesses, or just people that struggle with these things. I struggle with these. Saying things like that can make a difference in people's lives. And in line with Mental Health Awareness Week and the conversation about loneliness, it helps people not feel lonely. And I know what I'm going to do over the next couple of years is going to be lonely. I know I am going to be doing this, and it's only going to be me doing this. It's a project that I am essentially doing by myself, that is being supervised, and there will be people I will be communicating with, ensuring that kind of quality and ethical guidelines are met, etc., etc. But it's still going to be a lonely process. No one can do this other than me, because it is mine, etc. And I know it's going to be lonely, so anyone that does want to reach out, does want to say anything, I will gladly welcome. I will gladly share what I am doing, what I'm experiencing, what I'm finding out through the research. And I will always share that, because that's how you overcome loneliness, by finding shared connection and by finding kind of joint interests and sharing. So anyway, that's where we are. I had a really good response to kind of putting the initial information out. And this video in itself will probably be shared on LinkedIn, on Twitter, etc., where I do my social media to kind of say, hey, look, I've been recording this for 3-4 months now. If you're interested, you can see more of this. You can see the thought process I go through. And the past couple of weeks have kind of slowed down on actual content because I've been preparing for the COR. But now that my presentation and everything is done, I'm intending to kind of get back to looking at the papers I've read, the thoughts I've had about the content and everything connected to it. So there'll hopefully be a bit more actual raw psychology and financing connected in the coming weeks and months. So what I've been doing since I finished my presentation, as well as marketing this week, I have started pulling my questions together. So my research is largely going to be online survey led, but there will be a combination of some interviews, maybe some team interviews, see how various discussions go there, and maybe some case studies within organizations if people are interested in doing that. But largely it will be online survey led. And what I've been doing is pulling together all the different kind of psychometric questions that I've wanted to use. So this is things like pulling out the questions of Maslach's burnout inventory that give me a way of measuring burnout, and then things about job satisfaction, job insecurity, work stress, etc., etc. So I've been pulling all those together. I've pulled out various climate questions, and next week I'm going to start in developing my organisational finance measures. And this is the bit that doesn't exist. This is the bit that I have to genuinely think and put a lot of time into deciding how I am going to measure finance. And my plan is to use vignettes of a finance team. So I will describe a finance team that operates in a particular manner, and then I will see how people respond to that finance team. But I need to design these things, and this is something that is going to take time. It's going to be a fairly rigorous process to ensure that it matches everything that I want it to match. So that's going to be my kind of next week. I've done a lot of the work on the questions now, so it's all about now developing that vignette. I've also volunteered to present at the PsyCen conference, which is the Psychology Centre for Research at Leeds Beckett, and I'm going to be basically saying what I've been saying this week in very short abridged form that makes it accessible. I will probably do it surrounded by memes and things that enable people to pick up the concept very quickly, because that's just how I work and it's how I like to present. I've also been invited to go on various podcasts and talk about this in more generalized forms, just my experiences in this setting, both in work and in the university and research. So there's lots of opportunities to keep talking about this, which I love. I love talking, and it's why I record this. It's why I share what I do, because, again, it combats loneliness. It allows the idea of connection to kind of be present. So that's really where I am. With regards to the rest of my life, things are going all right. It's been quite busy getting all these things sorted. I finally got a date for my downstairs bathroom to be fixed, and generally speaking, all is going well. I'm just trying to think. I haven't done anything that exciting. I do have the Goonhammer Open in 2 weeks. This will be my first large competitive event in Warhammer, which is something I got into during the COVID-19 pandemic as a way of kind of expressing my creativity when I couldn't present anywhere, when I couldn't share things, etc. It was a way of survival at the time, and as with most kind of hobbies, I take them to a point where I like to compete, and this is just that natural evolution. I don't know if I'll keep going, but it's something I want to try at least once, probably twice, to see if I get a feel for it. I haven't really been doing much else. I've started replaying Slay the Spire again, just as a way to keep my mind active on evenings, and have largely just been quite chill and quite quiet. So yeah, not a huge amount. It's probably going to get a lot busier over the next couple of weeks and months. But that's kind of exciting because I'm getting to the stage of the project where I am going to put the survey out in front of people. And that's when you start getting data in and you start seeing the responses, that's when the mind can really kick in, and to be able to think, okay, well, why are people responding this way? How are these things that I'm seeing connected, and so on. And there's a lot of complex maths that I'm going to have to learn. I'm not entirely scared by it, but I am apprehensive just because it's been a long time since I've done that level of mathematics. But I mean, computers do it all for us now anyway, so I'm probably never going to have to do it, but I am going to have to program it, which again doesn't scare me, just something that, because I haven't done it recently, I'll need to figure out on the fly. But broadly speaking, that is my life, that is where I am. This weekend is relatively quiet. I'm seeing some friends, and then I have my COR on Monday. So fingers crossed for that. I hope it goes well. I believe it will go well. But at the same point, and this is something I leave for everyone, every interview, every assessment, everything like this is always two-way. You need to understand, as much as the university is understanding whether I am capable of doing this and whether what I am wanting to do is capable of achieving a PhD, at the same point I am interviewing them to say, are you able to support me? Are you willing to do what I need to enable me to do this? And this is something that we never really appreciate in a lot of our lives, but people are equal and everything is reciprocal. So as much as they are assessing me, I'm assessing them. And if things don't work, there is nothing wrong with saying no. And there is nothing wrong with saying, you know what, let's step back and let's reassess. And that may well be what comes out on Monday. I don't know, but I approach all these things in a very honest, very open, and very discursive kind of way, which is why whenever anyone has ever tried to interview me, they suddenly get very shocked by just how kind of, not cavalier, but how poignant I will be with some of my answers. One of my favourite ones was when I was interviewing to work in finance within a company, and the finance director asked me, well, what's your aspirations in the next 2-3 years? And I said, well, I want your job. And he was like, that's the most honest answer anyone has ever given. And too many people are too afraid to say the honest answer, even if it is what they are thinking. If you can say what you think, what you feel, and then act in the same way, you'll be more at peace with yourself. So that's just a bit of a tangent as we end today. So anyway, thank you for tuning in to all my content during Mental Health Awareness Week. It's not really that special, it's not really that informative, but this week matters to a lot of people because as a non-communicable disease in mental illness, as something that affects many, many people all over the world, it's important that we make people aware of it and that we see what is unseen and so on. And to many people, they will see me and they will think everything is fine. But I live with anxiety and depression. I probably have undiagnosed ADHD and a whole host of other things that are wrong with me. I appear confident, but I have none. I have no confidence. And it's only when we talk about these things do people really listen and really realize on. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. And if you want to stay involved, if you want to keep seeing how this PhD progresses or be involved in any form, get in contact. I will always listen and I will always communicate. You can get in touch with me via my email address, via LinkedIn, via my website, anything like that. My door is always open. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you again next week. Thank you very much.